This is going to be step 10, experimentation with lettering. And this is going to help you learn how to use the X-Acto blade and how to create clean and accurate letters. And we're going to do this even though most of us won't have letters on our sculpture. So we need to see page 5, and we're going to look at this top box here, and we are going to start with the marker letter. So when we're drawing letters, we're going to start by drawing a Q. So I'm just going to draw a nice big Q with my pencil. And then I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to go on the the inside line of that line that I just drew. And I'm going to kind of go around my line here. I'm going to do the same thing with the outer line so that I am making it a nice thick letter. Then I'm going to go to my Sharpies, and I want to start with a thin Sharpie, and I'm going to start by doing an outline of my Q. And I just need to go on the outline of the Q, so I have nice clean lines. And then once you do the whole thing with the thin Sharpie, then you can go in with the thick Sharpie or the regular Sharpie, and then you can color everything in so that you'll have a nice clean Q for a letter. For the cut paper with X-Acto blades, you are going to get a yellow piece of paper. You are going to place it over your box, and you are going to very lightly draw your box here that you see on your packet so that you can see how big you need to make your Q. Then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to draw your Q. Then you're going to outline that line that you just drew so that you have a nice clean bubble letter. Then you're going to take your X-Acto blade with the cap. It's very important that you put the cap on the end of the X-Acto blade. If your cap doesn't want to stay, you need to stick the cap underneath your mat so that we don't lose them, because it's very important to put a cap back onto this blade at the end of class. So first, just experiment with kind of how the X-Acto blade cuts. You never want to cut straight up and down. You kind of want to hold it like a pencil and kind of hold it at an angle. And you really don't need a lot of pressure to cut through the paper. So practice doing some really light pressures and see how hard you need to press down in order to cut. When you start cutting your letter, you can start on the outside line. And you can just follow along. When you get to a turn in your letter, don't turn the X-Acto blade, turn the paper. And you can cut around the whole entire letter. It's much easier to cut towards you than it is to cut away from you. So always turn the paper to where you are cutting. And then I'm going to finish cutting the inside part of my Q. And try to cut on that inside line again. Okay. Then I'm going to put my cap back on my X-Acto blade. You always want to be very careful with this blade. It is very sharp, even though it may not look very sharp. It's very sharp. Put the cover back on the blade, and then we are going to use the tacky glue to glue down our Q into this box here. So you are going to need to hold this bottle upside down for probably at least 30 seconds before the glue comes down, because it's a very, very thick glue. And then once it's down, you only need teeny tiny little dots on your paper in order to make it stay. You hardly need any glue. And that is what you are going to do. When you are done with that, you are going to look at number 1. From the 3 options, which one are you best at? And you are going to look at these 2 options right now and decide. And then you're going to answer which one is your group best at. And then make sure that all of you agree on this step. And then get it checked off by a teacher.